And you weren't totally useless. I mean, you learned how to paint left-handed.
I like how you said that. Totally useless.
No, but okay.
We're Nick and Hannah True, and we're here to help you go from feeling confused, stressed, and ashamed about your finances to having a budget that reflects your values, provides clarity and confidence in your daily spending decisions, and fosters unity between you and your spouse. We'll help you craft a money story that not only gives you personal freedom, but also creates a positive impact in your family and community. Welcome to Craft Your Money Story, a Mapped Out Money podcast. All right, so we are finally back.
We're back.
After almost a year.
Almost. Yeah.
Our last podcast was published July 19th, right?
Jeez. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and today's June 13th, so yeah, we're like 11 months almost
We
on the
planned
nose.
on it being a break, but not quite that
We thought
long.
it was going to be like a couple of week
Yeah.
break maybe, or like a month at most.
Yeah. We're optimistically delusional when we take on projects.
Yes, I think it was definitely that. And I think also this is probably a false way to think, but I think I also am very bad about not wanting to start back until I feel like we can be consistent with it. And so
yeah.
I've been putting it off, going like, I don't want to get going again until we can consistently stick with it. And so that also made me go like, man, let's talk about it next month. Let's talk about it next month.
Yeah. Fair. Because I think we would have had a hard time being consistent had we started back earlier.
Totally.
So, hey, Scout. All right. So as you can see, like we have like a dedicated recording space now. So that's fun.
So if you're listening to this on your podcast, we're actually filming this as well. And you can go to the YouTube channel and see the video version of this. So we're going to start videoing all the podcasts and putting them on the YouTube channel now that we actually have a studio.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that.
So where do we want to start?
Yeah, I think maybe let's just start with like a quick recap. What's the last year been like? So this whole episode will be more personal in nature.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to, talk too much about how to be better with your money.
Yeah, since we've been
if
gone
you don't
so
care,
long.
if you don't
we
care
thought
about the
we'd give you a
personal
little-
stuff, then you can just jump in on the next episode.
Yeah.
But
Give you a little update before we get into normal
yeah.
episodes.
But yeah, so this last year we sold our house in Fairhope, Alabama in May.
I like that we have to look back at our notes. We can't remember.
I can't remember.
Happened.
It's been a
Good
crazy
things
year.
happened,
And
yeah.
so, we sold our house in Fairhope in May. We moved into the RV for a couple of weeks, basically. And then we moved into your parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
And we closed on the building in July last year, right? July.
I think it was July.
And so, we bought a building in Knoxville, Tennessee. The building is kind of a mixed-use space. So we have 2 apartments in the upstairs area, and then downstairs is a large open co-working space with a couple of offices.
We should say it
Kinda
will be
offshooting it.
co-working.
Yes, it will be. So it's right now it's a large open room with some tables and chairs. But, so we're turning this into a co-working space with some offices. We have a studio for us to record, and then we have the 2 apartments upstairs. One is ours, and then the other is going to be a short-term rental. So we closed on the building in July of last year, and we thought we were going to, paint, do some cosmetic updates, do a few projects, hire some contractors to do a few projects, and maybe get moved in the fall of last year. Turns out we got moved in May of this year. So things just took a really long time.
Yeah.
And
like we said, it's like several different areas. So
Yes.
our attention has kind of been spread out. So if we had just hammered one area at a time, then it would have gone faster. But like you said, there's all of that. Like, the contractors are working over here, so we'll work over there.
Yes.
And then we'll swap places.
Switch.
And then, so it just, things weren't linear.
totally.
So
So that's the short overview. And so here we are. We moved in really like a month ago now.
Yeah.
And we've actually been living here and working on kind of the other spaces. And then we're excited to get back started with putting out content.
Yep.
So,
all right. So, as you can see, we are obviously back to making content, and we've shifted things in the building are still in progress, but everything is like approaching a level of being functional.
Yeah.
And so
functionally stable.
Yeah. And so while there's still little projects that we're going to be doing to make it what we want it to be, we're kind of shifting from all of our attention going to that, to establishing some of our normal routines and everything. And making content and putting stuff out is a huge part of that. So here we are, getting back in the groove. Marco's over here stretching. So like we said, we wanted to give you a quick update on the building, a quick update on Mapped Out Money, and then just like, some personal life things before we dive into future episodes. So first off, we've kind of already hit on this, Nick, but like, how's progress on the building? Like, what's left?
Yeah. So we have, from like a financial standpoint, the sort of core revenue streams of the building, right, is the Airbnb and then the co-working space. And then we have a couple of private offices, if you will. And so we've been lucky that we've had one tenant in the in one of the offices, which has been great. And but other than that, the Airbnb will be the single biggest revenue driver. Yeah. So our focus has been trying to get that up and running before football season mostly. And so we're kind of in the home stretch. I think we're a few weeks away from taking pictures and getting it, live on Airbnb with the goal of being able to start booking up for football season. So yeah, and if you're not familiar with Tennessee, Knoxville is the main college town for the state. The state school is here, and we're maybe 10 minutes from the stadium. So we're anticipating that people will come into town for games and that kind of stuff this fall. So I want to get the Airbnb up and running within the next month or so, just so that we can start booking out. Once we've done that, and it's not to say we've neglected all the other areas for that. It's been kind of like you said, a hodgepodge of, okay, we're doing some projects, contractors are doing other projects. We're going to go where they're not. Yeah. And so they were in the Airbnb to start, and then we started in the co-working space. And so we've done some of the downstairs office and co-working space. But once we get the Airbnb going, we'll turn our attention to kind of finishing out the co-working space, which, I mean, really it's, like you said, it's 80 to 90% there in terms of functionally ready. Yeah. And then we'll slowly be doing things like making some really nice outdoor spaces. And there's 2 bathrooms down here and they're both pretty boring. So I want to work on making those look good and fun. Yep. So there'll be stuff, but we're shifting to where it's going to be like weekend projects instead of all the time projects. Yes. Yeah. So I've got to build a table. You're going to do some more decorating and hanging of stuff. And then the co-working space will be hopefully ready to start marketing and kind of getting people to see it and hopefully start getting some people by the fall really is probably, I guess, tail end of summer. I don't technically know when summer turns into fall, September. So, yeah, right. and then like you said, just doing more small projects over time from there. Yeah, and we'll probably do an episode in the future talking about kind of our decision making behind prioritizing projects and deciding what we're going to do versus what we're going to pay contractors to do and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll probably dive into that a little bit. And you may even do you think you'll do an episode talking about how you analyzed this? Yeah, we could do that. If people, definitely write us, so you can email us, nick@mapped-out-money.com. If you're curious on any of the real estate stuff, let us know, and we can do some episodes kind of breaking down how we analyze the property and why we thought it would be a good investment. I like that he says we. I did not analyze the property. Nick analyzed the property. Well, but if it's not interesting to people, then we won't talk about it. But if it's interesting, let us know. We'll do that. Okay, so things have obviously been very quiet from a content perspective, but what's been going on with Mapped Out Money? Yeah, so we're blessed in that we've made a lot of content over the years, and that those videos and those podcast episodes still drive people to want to work either one-on-one with me or with our group program called Ahead 100. And so all of that stuff has been going on behind the scenes, even though we haven't had any forward-facing content coming out for a while. Stuff. Yeah, so we've been just working with clients and helping people manage their money.
Yeah. And we've spent a lot of time thinking about, mapped out money and what we want people to get out of our content and working with you and all of that stuff. And we kind of landed on this craft your money story tagline. And we've built out like a money story map of like stages that we hope people progress through as they work through different, coaching and products and stuff that you put out. And so you're going to hear us referring back to that in the future.
Totally.
Like as we talk more about things, you'll hear more about that.
Yeah, I've been really excited about, like, really it's just in the last month or so that we have had the brain space to go, all right, we're ready to re-enter a season of growth for Mapped Out Money and doing more content and putting stuff out there. But before we just dive back in, we wanted to kind of do it intentionally. And so we've been revamping the way that kind of the core steps that we work people through in our coaching program, and then also revamping just, I wouldn't say what Mapped Out Money stands for necessarily, but like you said, this sort of core idea of what are we really trying to do and help people with. And you thought of the craft your money story like while we were walking just
we
really
were
a
out
month
on a
or two
walk
ago,
and talking about things and
and so we've landed on that, and we're really excited about what that means and how we're going to be able to really help you align your money with your values. That's kind of our whole shtick is budgeting is not this restrictive thing. It's something that helps you do more of what you care about doing with your money. And so that's what we're excited to talk about.
And it ties in with that whole idea of like your life being a story and like being God's masterpiece,
Totally.
and thinking about how all the elements of our life come together to help craft that story.
Totally.
So we're excited to be like a small part of that for people in thinking about how they're using their money to do what God's called them to do. So, let's see, personal life wise, so basically in the middle of all the building stuff and like we're still like living out of suitcases and all of that, I ended up breaking my arm. And
people probably don't have no idea about that.
Yeah, so I broke my arm. And at first it was like, no big deal. Like be in a cast for a little while and be good to go.
But that was one of the reasons that the building took so long was you've been our main, in terms of hours, you probably put in 2 to 3 times as many hours on the building as I do.
Yeah, well, when it came to like painting and all of that stuff, like I was definitely moving all of that forward.
Sewing, all the different projects we're doing. And then when you broke your dominant arm and were in a cast for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, something like that after surgery.
Yeah, because I was in
You were
I was
2
in a
weeks
cast for
before
2 weeks
surgery.
before surgery.
And then you had surgery, and then it was like 8. I don't know.
It felt like a long time.
It was a long time. It happened in November, and it felt like you were useless until sometime in mid-January.
It definitely like kind of killed our momentum.
Yes.
I feel like it was a momentum killer.
And you weren't totally useless. I mean, you learned how to paint left-handed.
I like how you said that. Totally useless.
No, but okay. Well, you know what I mean, though. It's like your dominant arm, and so like you can't do stuff.
Yeah. I was not making the progress that I was making before.
You did paint the laundry room left-handed, though, which is impressive.
I did. It's probably not that impressive if you look at the laundry room, but
so we've had just a number of things that, here's something that I like to think, or I like to say sometimes, which is like trying to find the balance between being delusionally optimistic and not being risky that you're going to blow yourself up in terms of like when you're trying to build a business, trying to do real estate, trying to do investments, trying to do new things.
You need a little bit of delusional
You need a little
optimism.
bit of both. And so you're trying to always thread that needle and, responsible delusional optimism. There we go. I like that. But like, so biting off this building, and we can talk about this more in a future episode, but like the house in Fairhope that we bought, we bit off more than we could chew. We did not realize it was going to be as intense in terms of the projects and the work that it needed as it ended up being. But we learned.
Did you really not realize that?
I knew it was going to be a lot, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
Okay.
right?
I feel like I knew it was going to be a lot.
But this is our balance, right? I'm the one who's like, we can do it, and we learned a lot in that property, and then it gave us some confidence to bite off this big building, right? And the building we knew was going to be a lot of work, but we still didn't. I don't think either of us anticipated it was going to take as long as it has.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's human nature.
And that's
we
just
always
how it
underestimate the timeline.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I was saying all that for is like, well, to your point, it was cool to see how that experience with Fairhope, it really did prepare us for this building. We talked about how like that was just totally a God thing because, we did a lot of projects on that house and we learned a ton. And you, I got super good at painting, which is a much lower skill thing than what you got good at.
Well, but I mean, the skills that we learned on that house have saved us a ton of money on this building.
They have.
Because we haven't had to hire any painters and we haven't had to hire, I've done a lot of the woodworking.
Yep.
And so we've been able to cut costs there.
Yeah. So it was very good preparation for this next project that we took on.
Yes.
But then also my point, just with like, the building going on, us living out of suitcases, breaking my arm, like life,
we've had some curveballs.
Yes. Yeah. Other normal life things going on. And it's just so easy to get bogged down. And I think we definitely felt ourselves getting to this place of being worn down and burnout. And, God really showed us that we have a lot of growing to do when it comes to spiritual disciplines and having those things ingrained in our life to the point that we hold on to them tighter when things are getting crazy in our life instead of letting them fall by the wayside.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that we started doing when we were in Fairhope was doing precept Bible studies together. And we went through the book of Joshua while we were in Fairhope, which turned out to be kind of a random choice. I don't even know how we landed on it. I think we landed on it because they were doing a Zoom class or something. And we're like, sure, Joshua sounds good. And it ended up being so perfectly timely for kind of where we were at in our life. And then we finished Joshua and we were looking for a new study to start. And we randomly chose James. I don't actually think it was random.
We actually did Judges.
Or we did. You're right. We did Joshua, Judges, and then I guess we're just doing J's is what we're doing. But we stumbled upon somehow we decided to do James, and that has turned out to be so perfectly timely for where we've been over the last 18 months or so. So if you're not familiar with James, or you're not a Christian, then you're not going to be as familiar with this book. But one of the kind of main themes in James is perseverance through trials and perseverance through hard times. And there's this word that I've really latched onto in the Greek. It means, so the word is hupomeno, which is fun to say. But it means to remain, to endure, to bear bravely and calmly, to persevere under misfortunes and trials, to hold fast to one's faith in Christ. And so that has just been very timely for us over the last, 18 months or so. And we have not done a perfect job of doing our study every single day
Far
like
from it,
we're
yeah.
aiming to. But yeah, so that in terms of our personal update, we're trying to get way more serious and way more on top of daily discipline in the Word. And we've been very, I think God's just had his hand on the book choices because it's been so timely for where we've been at.
If spiritual disciplines are something that you're interested in learning more about, the Spiritual Disciplines for the Christian Life by Donald Whitney looks like this. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's great.
It's phenomenal.
So far.
Yeah.
We're going through one chapter a week together. And it's meaty.
It's meaty,
yeah,
but it's
so
so
I mean, you
good.
can see I'm
Yeah.
on, I think this is chapter 3, and there's still a lot to go. So,
but it's great. And
yeah.
it's been, like I said, just really timely, I think, for where we're at.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So then, health is another thing. Like,
Yes.
we have been very inconsistent with like our working out and eating healthy during this season of moving and, you know, whatever. And so now that we're settling in, we're trying really hard to like get back on our game
Yes.
with working out and being more thoughtful about what we eat and all of those kinds of things. So we want a workout schedule, system, whatever, that we stick to even better when life gets crazy.
Yes.
Not that we go like, oh, we're busy, so we're not going to work out.
Yes. Which has been certainly my MO. It's
Yeah,
like,
we
work's
both-
crazy. Let's just punt.
Yeah, we're both kind of bad about that all or nothing mindset. I'm sure a lot of people relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if I can't do it perfect, I just won't do it at all. And it's like, oh,
Well, and
don't be that
people
way.
listening to this, I mean, since, you know, the theme of this show is money, like a lot of people listening probably struggle with this with their finances of like when they're stressed out, forget the budget, you know, forget trying to whatever, I'm just going to shop or buy whatever. And so we have been very focused trying to get back to not doing that with our health.
Yeah.
Really is what it comes down to.
Yeah. So some of the things we've been trying to do are just like planning our workouts for the week on Sunday. And then we talked about this before we stopped recording, you know,
A year
back
ago.
in July or whatever.
Yeah.
But working out in the morning, but not first thing.
Yes.
We both hate getting out of bed and going
if it's
immediately
the
to work
first
out.
thing, like if I have to get out of bed and immediately start working out, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sleep. I'm going to avoid it. And so just simply saying and committing to not having to do that first thing
Yeah.
totally changes.
So
my
instead,
approach.
we like get up, have coffee, do Bible study together, have like some chill time.
Yes, reading
and then
time,
like
yep.
we're kind of warmed up, and you get ready to work out.
Yeah,
it's
then I'm
like, oh, I'm
excited,
actually
too.
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then we're just trying to shift to this instead of like being perfect and never missing. Matt Diavella talks a lot about this, but like trying not to miss more than one day in a row.
Yes.
And instead of just punting a workout completely, trying to like downsize it
Yeah.
if necessary.
Yeah, if we don't have a full hour, can we do like a 20-minute version of this or something?
Yeah. Can we go for a walk?
Yes.
Yeah. Just anything. Trying not to register a 0 on the calendar.
And I think to that point, you know, the big theme for us over the last year and a half, if you've listened to the show or followed along with us for a little while, was one of the big reasons we wanted to move to Knoxville was to have a better semblance of stability and consistency. And so when we lived in Fairhope, as much as we loved it, we found ourselves traveling back to see family a lot. And now that we're here and family is here, we're not like kind of going back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
And so the big theme going kind of halfway through this year and then kind of moving forward is going to be to try and establish, you know, like we said, spiritual disciplines and other rhythms for consistency. And so that's our health, our spiritual disciplines, and then obviously the business and Mapped Out Money. And so for the first time ever, we've like actually mapped out a calendar.
A whole year.
A whole year.
Yeah. We have like the next year of content and like courses and all of this stuff mapped out.
Podcasts and YouTube
Yeah.
videos and everything.
Which is really nice because I mean, obviously things don't go according to plan all the time, but even when something like, oh, okay, we didn't get that done this week, we can look at the calendar and figure out when to fit those things in so that overall we stay on track.
Totally.
So that is really helpful.
Yeah.
Super glad we did that. The other thing I was going to say is just, it's been interesting, you know, the shift from South Alabama back to Knoxville. Like, people who live somewhere that's actually cold are going to make
Oh
so
my
much fun of me.
gosh.
But like, it is so cold.
It is so
to
cold
us.
here.
And also the whole, like, the traffic situation is a lot different.
Yes.
So in Fairhope, you could get in the car and basically be to anything that we were going to go to within like 60 seconds in the car. It was
Yes.
kind of ridiculous.
We basically would fill up gas in between times driving back to Knoxville.
Yes.
Like we would never have to get gas in
Yeah.
Fairhope because that's how
Because-
little we drove.
Yeah, we walked most places, and if we did have to drive, it was so short. But here in Knoxville, and so we were working out at a gym when we were in Fairhope and all of that stuff. And after we moved to Knoxville, we found ourselves wanting to cut down on the places that we were going to have to drive just because things are further away. Traffic is worse. And so if you go to the gym for an hour-long workout class, you're probably adding like another 40 minutes to that
just
for
to
the
get
commute there and back.
Totally.
And so we were like, we don't want to have to do that.
Time.
Yeah. So we want a setup here. And we're going to talk more about that. I think it's our next episode where we're going to talk about that. And, or maybe not the next one, but anyways, just about thinking about, how you plan your purchases and like the variables that you can adjust for things, because we have definitely done that in thinking about creating like a home workout space for ourselves. And like, okay, we can adjust our timeline for doing this thing. We can adjust the amount we want to pay for it. What's the third one? No,
just the quality of the item itself, right? So like,
I guess but I thought that was the price.
Well, the amount you want to pay is more about the budget. So what are you willing to cut in order to get the thing that you really want?
Okay, see, Nick knows. He came up with these variables. Anyways, so yeah, we've been thinking through that of, okay, we don't want to have to go to a gym to work out anymore. So we want to be able to work out where we're at. Like, what does that look like? What does creating a good space for that look like?
And to tie in what you said, because it's so cold in Tennessee.
Yeah, we want to have an indoor option. Yeah,
because we're weenies. We could outdoor workout all the time.
All the time.
And it was fine.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're weak. We're weenies in
They would
Tennessee.
have like maybe 2 weeks that were like really cold in Fairhope.
It's
and then everything
here,
else was pretty
pleasant.
pleasant.
It's cold.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up. What can people kind of look forward to on the podcast? So we're back. This podcast, we're retitling it. And so it's Craft Your Money Story. You heard that in the intro. We're excited to talk to you more about what that means and what we're trying to do and how we're crafting our money story, and maybe you can have some ideas for ways to craft your money story. And then what's our schedule?
We're going to be every other week for the podcast and video form of the podcast. And then in October, that's going to switch to weekly.
Yes.
And we know that because we have a whole year.
We have a calendar. And so we're ramping up. So we're trying not to set ourselves up for failure here. So we're starting off with every other week, and we'll ramp up into the weekly.
Yeah.
So that's it. Anything else?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all on the next episode.